I'm David.
I'm Julie.
Thank you for joining us in this review portion of the game Wingspan. And Wingspan is part of our project to do videos on the top 100 family games according to Board Game Geek users. And as of September 2019, this is the #1 family game on the list. And it's also ranked highly top 100 on the strategy list and on the overall list.
Wow.
So again,
that's pretty awesome.
Very popular game.
Yeah, I would say so.
And before I forget, please check out our playthrough video and the how to play video.
Right.
So let's take a look at the overview.
Okay.
So it's a family strategy game. 1 to 5 players. It does include rules for solo play and cards for that. 40 to 70 minutes, ages 10 and up. It's a card drafting, dice rolling, hand management, set collection game by Stonemaier Games.
Wow, it's a lot.
So, the way we do this is that Julie comes up with her positives, negatives, and neutrals.
And
separately,
David comes up with his.
and we don't share them, so we see each other's usually for the first time, unless one of us is editing it, but the other
Right.
person doesn't see it.
So I'm going to go first.
So here we go.
Alrighty. I found this educational because on each card it tells you something about the bird, and it's a great way to learn something that you didn't know. The pictures are beautiful. They're really pretty.
Great artwork.
Great artwork. The eggs are awesome. I mean, these guys, look at that. They're just so cute. They look like little eggs.
There's, I went on their website. They're sold out on extra eggs. Gee, I wonder why.
I wonder why, because they're so darn cute. I do find this that there's not a lot of interaction except saying, okay, it's your turn. And because we played it, when you see the playthrough, we did it open. When you play it, you don't show anybody anything. And so you're just kind of like winging it on your own. Ha, get it? Winging it? Wingspan? Ha ha, I cracked myself up. Anywho, for me personally, I found it kind of frustrating to keep track of all the options that I had of, when to get eggs, when to get more cards, when to get food, how to balance out your little cubes of, what are they called?
The actions.
The actions.
Yeah, there's so many options. Somebody who's really competitive will look at all the actions. Okay, if I get this card, I can do this on this turn.
And see, I'm not that
they'll
competitive.
plan it out that far ahead. So I definitely could see this leading to analysis paralysis.
Right.
And that's why you find it overwhelming. Instead, we just play it, not to worry about thinking too far ahead. I mean, you definitely do a good job of looking at the goals as you look right here. Thinking of the goals and what birds to get and where to put your eggs.
I think I concentrate harder on that and forget about the little extra
the brown
card
actions.
Than
the goals,
the extra goals.
Yeah, so think about that. You have the end of round goals here, and then you have your personal goals, which you can even acquire more of these in the game.
Right.
And then you got to worry about when
Everything
you activate
else.
a row, what brown actions you can take.
Yep.
And then think about, I can get these birds with these brown actions. And
It's just a lot. It's very overwhelming as you all, well, a lot of you may or may not know, I do have a cognitive disability, and games like this, excuse me, are really taxing on my brain. And it's good because it makes it work, but it also is very tiring and just gets to be overwhelming to a point where I like this game and I'll play it, but it won't be something that I'd want to play like every single day, like certain other games we have.
Yeah, because there's a game that I compare this to that I'll go over next.
Okay, now it's your turn.
All right, so for me, it's thematically very cool. There's no other game like this. You do feel like you're putting birds in habitats, and it matters what birds you put in there, and the idea that the predators eat other birds, which I had fun doing last game.
Yes, you did.
So, and that ties into the educational merit, but I'm skipping ahead there. It has interesting mechanics. A lot is going on here, which leads to a future point of this is not a family game.
No.
Okay, I'll get to that in a minute. Because there's so many things going on and all the mechanics going on. When you think of a family game, you're basically saying to the world, yeah, you should get this for your family, and any 10-year-old would be able to do well at this. And also, when I think family games, I think of games that someone who's family's not made up of alpha gamers. This is a typical family would buy this and be able to read the rules, set it up without any problem. Not right. You don't have to watch videos. I'll get to that too in a minute.
Yes.
And then deal with all these mechanics and all the decisions.
It's too
It'd
much.
be easier to play a starting deck of Magic than to play this game. I stand by that. When I taught you Magic years ago, you understood that game a lot quicker
I did.
than this game. Because when Magic, you start with, I think, 7 cards. You either play a land, and you say, okay, can I activate a card using those lands? And then when the card's out, do I tap it to attack or use its ability? It's not that hard. But this game, you have to worry about what birds I can buy. Oh, what birds do I have in this row? What do I have in this? Let me go to my. What do I have in this row? This row. Do I want to do eggs? What nest do I put them in? If I go here, activations do I get? Is it going to help me with the
Right.
in the row and scoring? Is it going to help me with my gold card? What foods do I need? What habitats can I put them in? What actions do I want to take with the
It's
with
just
the card?
a lot.
And then I got to worry about what food I need to get, and then what food should I select? So that way, if I get more than one food, maybe I could take this food and get more food on the dice. Compared to Magic, I'm talking basic starter decks. Okay, I'm not talking advanced Magic players that have been playing for years. Those who do start, when Wizards of the Coast are doing starter decks to teach the game to people, I can play that with a 10-year-old, no problem. In fact, I could play that with an 8-year-old, as long as they can read. As long as they can read well. All right, so that's why I say that it has interesting mechanics, but it's also the reason why it is not a family game.
Mm-hmm.
The educational merit is great. Now, who would I play this with? Children that are identified gifted or who are not identified yet that can handle a complex game like this. Children of alpha gamer families, like our boys could have handled this at 10 and 8.
Yes, they could have.
Because we started playing Star Wars miniatures when they were 5 and 7, and they grew up playing games. So they could handle this.
I could have handled it back then too.
Yes, but I'm talking about a typical family that are not gamers, that might have a child that has trouble sitting still even a child that might even, there's children out there that have a hard time even knowing how to hold cards. If you want to know how, whether a child has had experience playing games, just hand them a deck cards and see how quickly they bend them and they sweat all over them and things like that. That's one clue. And 2, just have a child roll a die. If they go like this, then they haven't rolled a die before in their life, okay? And that's basically a type of literacy. Playing board and card games is a type of literacy that some families don't have today.
Yeah.
So again, I don't like the fact that this is the #1 family game. Because when somebody goes to Board Game Geek for the first time and they look for recommendations, I'm not talking children's game list here, I'm talking family game list, and they say, oh wow, let's get that, it looks wonderful. Wow, I love birds. They bring it home, and then they get discouraged when they find out that they can't learn from the rules easily, and then they'll have a hard time playing it with their 10-year-old who hasn't played many games before.
Yeah. In fact, the first time we played this game, I was so frustrated and so against it. I couldn't believe when he told me it was the #1 family game. I was like, there's no way this could be a family game. This is just it's just too much.
It definitely belongs on the strategy list. There's a
Oh,
lot of strategy here.
Oh,
okay?
yeah.
Definitely belongs in the overall list. When we're done doing the top 100 Board Game Geek
Family games.
I have my theory as to why it is certain games are on the family list. I don't want to share that yet, why I think that's happening, because I want to go through the list first.
Yes.
And then I'll share my findings afterwards. But I do have a hypothesis.
I know you do.
Okay, I've shared it with you, but I'm not going to share it yet.
And honestly, I don't remember what it was.
Statistically,
So.
I'm pretty sure I'm right statistically why it's happening, okay? And if anybody from Board Game Geek is watching this, one of the moderators, you probably could figure it out too, why it's statistically happening. And whether or not it's worth addressing, I'll do a future video on that if it is worth addressing. But right now we're just talking about this game.
Yeah, you're getting too excited.
All right, so rulebook issues is a neutral, because one thing that when you have split rulebooks, okay, it's well illustrated.
Oh, yeah.
And when you get to the steps here, for each action. It makes sense. The thing that they don't do a good job of explaining, and ask yourself, did you learn this game from a video or from somebody teach you at a convention or a game store? Because what I had the most difficulty understanding, because the whole idea of the leftmost and going from right to left and not having a breakdown of when you put a cube here, you take the action, then you move the cube here. Is it a bird with an activation? Is it a bird with an activation? Then you move it here when you're done with that action cube. There's nothing in the rule book that takes you step by step of an example with that. And then the whole idea that up here is its own row as well was confusing. So that's the most important part of the game. If you don't understand that, it doesn't matter what other parts of the rule book is. So that's what I think is missing from this rule book, is the understanding of how that grid works, of how the rows work and the columns. And I'm curious how many people had to watch a how to play video to understand that aspect. And the fact that you go from bird to bird, and well, I just went over.
Yeah, just.
So you have two rule books here, okay? They try to do a good job of, again, but they need an example of that. And then you have the appendix here with a quick reference. Reference isn't bad, but really you have to be an experienced gamer to know that, okay, I read this, and then now when I'm playing the game, I have to go to bird powers and then to bonus cards. Someone who's unexperienced, and then what these symbols mean here. So someone, again, who's not a family who's not experienced gamers are not used to getting two rulebooks. How many? Again, this is a more recent thing that's happened. Well, I should say, there's a Catan that have a quick play rules,
Okay.
and then have an almanac. But you don't have to read the almanac to play the game. You can read the quick play rules, and you only look at and without even looking at the almanac. Okay.
Okay.
So that's my issue with the rule book. It needed to have a more step-by-step example of those rows and columns and how you place your action cubes. I had a hard time understanding that at first.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm a neutral on that because, yeah, I did figure it out. But I worry, again, about other people who are going to pick this up thinking, oh, #1 family game, and then they'll get stuck. So a minus for me, though, is very little meaningful player interaction.
Yeah.
The only thing that really happens in this game that affects other players is I might take a bird that you might have been wanting to go for. That's it.
That's pretty much it.
I beat you to a bird that you wanted.
Yeah.
It's basically, and this is a major complaint on Board Game Geek when you read the comments for those when they rate it, it's basically we're playing solo. Okay? It is a fun game to play
Oh,
with
it's
each other.
fun. Yeah.
But that's the extent of the interaction. Now, maybe they'll put out expansions later. They'll increase the interaction. I don't know. But then they can turn into a mean game if that happens.
Yeah, and I wouldn't play them because I don't like mean games.
I mean, imagine if my predators could eat your bird.
Oh,
that would be really mean.
I would be.
And then it would change the whole
Yeah.
focus of the game to getting
and
predators.
I would never play.
Yeah. So I can understand why they didn't do that.
Yeah, which is good.
But again, limited interaction.
Yeah.
So I've already explained my rant here about not a family game. And other people, by the way, have said this. I'm not the only one. But from an educator point of view, remember, I've been teaching for over 20 years. I've taught over 400 teachers, and I'm currently teaching teachers here in Las Vegas how to get their gifted endorsement. And I teach a class on how to use games with gifted students. I would say if you're going to use this game, you do it in small groups, and you better use it with kids that are gifted,
Yeah.
that have experience playing games. And I'd say it'd be a great game for that.
Sure.
But if you were to try to play this with a fifth graders, seventh graders, or even in a whole total class, don't forget it.
There's
it won't
no
happen.
way.
It won't happen. But it would be good for a gaming club, especially a
Sure.
gaming club that's used to playing Magic
Absolutely.
or Pokemon or used
Yep.
to collectible card games. They'd have no problem with this.
Yeah.
You would have to, of course, break it down for them. So, again, I am impressed with its educational value.
Oh yeah, I thought it was very
Yeah,
interesting.
and I give a lot of kudos for that because it's really cool. Mm-hmm. All right, so now let's take a look at how we rank it according to the Board Game Geek top list from 1 to 10.
Okay.
Okay, so here we go. So here's Julie.
I said okay. I will play if in the mood, and as I told you all before, it is a fun game. I do enjoy it, but I really have to be. First of all, I can't be tired, and just no way. And second of all, I have to make sure David's not tired and he can be real patient with me because I still kind of mess up on things. And I just have to take my time and just do what I can do and know it's going to be fun, and I'm going to probably mess up on things. But the more I'm playing it, the more I am enjoying it. However, it's not something I would say, hey, let's play this game.
No, that's another point. Usually family games, you can get into it right away and be successful at not. A lot of people I can see getting frustrated with this who's not experienced.
It's taken me the third time to finally say, I'm enjoying this.
Right, so you were very frustrated the first time.
And even the second time.
But again, would a family, I mean, you've played thousands of games.
I have.
Okay, would a family who has maybe 20 games in their collection, maybe 50, would they have the patience for this with their 10-year-old who
Probably
doesn't
not.
play much? No.
No.
All right.
No.
So for me, I'm usually willing to play. It is a cool game.
It is.
All
It's
right?
a very cool game.
And again, it's the science part that makes it cool. What's going to hold me back from playing it over other games is that it's really a solo game. And it's even then not even a race game to the finish, because we know we're going to get 8 actions and 7 actions and 6 actions and 5 actions. So you know how many actions you're going to get in the game.
Yep, it's the same. Yeah.
And then if I want to sit there and count how many points she has and micromanage it, I don't want to play a game like. I'm not going to do that. I'm sure some people do. They'll look around and go, okay, he's 3 ahead of me,
Yeah.
and then, if I take this bird, and if
I'm so focused on my own board, I don't even pay attention to what he's
I'm
doing.
sure there's some players that will do that.
Oh, I'm sure
and you know
they
what?
do.
If there is, I won't play this game with him. There's no way.
And for me, this is already a long game with just 2 players. I can't imagine playing this with 3 or 4 players. I'd be done.
I think it
I'd
would
be
get
one
quicker.
and done.
I think it would get quicker with other people.
I don't know.
But yeah, I think 4. It definitely. What was the playing time again? Let me look.
60 minutes, 90
70
minutes?
minutes? No, I bet you it's 90 minutes.
It's too long.
I bet you it'd be at least 90 minutes with 4 players.
That's just way too
Unless
long.
they're really fast and know the game well. Yeah.
Maybe, but I'd be the one probably slowing everybody down anyway. So, but it is fun. I mean, I do think if you are a really big gamer and your family is really into games and have been playing since they were peewees, this would be fun for them. But for just a regular little family who their big game is Monopoly or, Yahtzee or something.
Well,
it'd be
people
too
hearing that would
hard.
say, well, they're not true gamers then. But then again, that's why I question what's on the family list. Because someone who is into those traditional games, no, I'm sorry, not traditional, more classic games, less strategy games, you would want them to go to the Board Game Geek Top 100 list and see the games that we enjoy, like Carcassonne
Sure.
and things like that.
Yep.
Have a rewarding experience, have a good playing experience, and say, wow, there's this whole world of games out there.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep on buying games on this list. But if they go right away to this list after I've only had an experience with Sorry and Monopoly and Yahtzee, like you said, they could basically swear off
Board games.
the list
Yeah.
and the Board Game Geek because of that. There was a problem, by the way. Remember, you don't like Twilight Struggle.
Ugh.
Twilight Struggle was number 1. And I remember reading comments on Amazon. People would buy Twilight Struggle, say, oh, it's the number 1 game on Board Game Geek, not understanding the overall ranking.
Oh, geez.
But it basically discouraged them from looking at Board Game Geek in the future because it was rated number 1.
Well, yeah.
So it is what it is. That's
is
the
what it
danger
is.
of lists like that.
All right. Well, that's enough ranting and raving by us. Thank you so much for watching.